For there is a wind of change, it blowing through the spice.
They interfered with this project, my friends. When they thought about saying that they would want a new design, I said to them, if you interfere with the project, it will take about 2-3 years before. They said, no, we'll get it started quickly. My friends, it's now the 4th year. The project has now started. We have lost over $30 million of economic activity and hundreds of jobs for the people of St. Andrews and the surrounding areas. My friends, the point I'm making is this. When you lose these opportunities, you're losing economic potential and you're creating a serious problem. One of the major one, again, was the Grand Beach Hotel, Lewis Hamilton. Could you imagine, my friends, Lewis Hamilton, right again, is now standing on the threshold of being the #1 racing driver in 2012, based on a few races that he have won. This man is loved in Europe. This man has a street named after him in Sweden. The project signed and ready to go. Over $200 million of investment. He paid down $4 to $5 million in Caribbean Bank in Grenada to get the project going. They came into government and they say, the Prime Minister said the project was a corrupt project between Keith Mitchell and Lewis Hamilton and the NNP and Danny Williams and others. They stopped the project and accused Lewis Hamilton of corruption. Today, my friend, Grand Beach is languishing today. We lost $200 million an enormous potential investment to the country. Lewis Hamilton was prepared in the contract to advertise and promote Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. Could you imagine you have a twin arrangement between Lewis Hamilton and Kirani James praising Grenada and marketing Grenada regionally and internationally? The number of potential. And I could go on and on, my friends, with all the lost opportunities. I will say this, my friends, in summing up on this point. When we won government in 95, every NDC project that was started by the NDC government, outgoing government, we never interfered with one of them. Because the project was not NDC project. The project was not Nicholas Braffett and George Brezan's project. The project was Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique's project. And therefore, NNP saw it in that light, my friends. And that is why, my friends, we are talking about a fundamental difference between the NNP and the NDC government, my friends. I now want to move, my friends, to the area of social services. My friends, education. Today, my friends, I had some experiences recently, and this is a fact, and a lot of you are here. You must know the problems that a lot of your family and friends are going through right now in this country, Grenada. I remember I had an experience, and that's a lot of it, but I give you this one example. And he came to me a few months ago to send our children, 3 children going to secondary school, 1 going to St. Rose Convent in Grove, 1 going to Happy Hill, and 1 going to Boca. And she said she has no money to send them, so a lot of the children are not going to school because they cannot pay the bus transport. So I tell her, how do they go to school now? She said, Dr. Mitchell, I send 1 today and the next 1 tomorrow. And I said, but you can't do that because you're interfering with the ability of that child to have a reasonable life. Because a day lost in school can in fact determine the fate of that child. Because I know what it is to be poor and cannot make it if you do not have support system. Some of us were lucky. So she told me that's what she was doing. I had to call a friend of mine and said, look what that example I've heard just got there. We can't allow this in this country. Bad as it is, every day people are asking for help, but we cannot allow our children not being able to go to school. And the gentleman agreed, and both of us are giving her the transport money to pay the bus for the child to go to school. My friends, that is what I'm talking about. When the NNP was in office, we had a program, my friends, called a transportation allowance program, and it wasn't run by no politician. It had nothing to do with whether the parents were NNP or NDC. The schools identify the children who are unable to make it transportation-wise. Any teacher here could tell you this. Some of them are on holiday. They can tell you this, so I'm not talking any Nancy story. They provide the bills to the Ministry of Education. And it's verified. In other words, no one can just stick in a child because your cousin child or your NNN child or your family child. It has to be verified that the parents just cannot afford. And we give the money to the school, and the school disburses the money to the buses for the transport of those children. My friends, if the NNP gets back into office again, such a program will be expanded once again. Well, a lot of times when I say if, people say I shouldn't say that, but I am not God, so I still have to use the word if to some extent. My friends, today, the government, we send children to Mexico, to Cuba, Australia, all over the world for scholarship. Wherever we got scholarship, my friends, we took them. Because educating your children is a fundamental part of a development society. The children went to Mexico. We paid the passage. They studied. They went to Cuba. We did the same thing. And we give them a stipend per month, $100 US. Since they came into office, they have not given the children the stipend. Worse than that, some of them have graduated now. And they're asking them to get them back home because we send them and we are obligated as a country. It's not NNP send them. It's the government and people of Grenada send them. You know what they're telling the children and the parents? They don't have money to bring them back home. So parents coming to me in opposition, asking me if I could help them to get passage to bring their children back home. Could you imagine this? So young girls are left in Mexico. There's a case of a parent who was so distressed over a daughter left in Mexico without a proper place because you finish school, the people will not house you as you wish, and you have to find food. So she went to the bank and asked the bank for a loan to get the passage. The bank person told me that story, and I called the lady and she verified it. They told her, "Madam, you're not working. You have no source of income. If we give you a loan, it's a charity we give." So she could not get the loan. So a child was still there. So a group of persons got together and got a passage for that child. While the government is refusing to do that fundamental thing to support our children, they are traveling abroad, spending thousands and thousands of US dollars and junket trip, enjoying themselves at the expense of Grenada. I tell you something, my friends. When I was Prime Minister of this country, whenever there's a UN up here, the hotels raise the rates. A hotel I would get at the Millennium, for example, where I normally used to stay, when the rates used to be 400 and something US dollars a day. When UN comes and them Arabs start landing in America with a lot of US dollars, each of them raise their hotel to about $1,000. You know what I used to do? I'm coming up for 2 days. Just the height of the thing, and I find myself back in Grenada. You're Prime Minister now. You'll come up here for 2 weeks. You know what 2 weeks is like? And with a delegation of 6 and 7 persons, all paid by the taxpayers of this country. Only recently, my friends, the conference that was held recently in Brazil, 18 persons left Grenada on a junket trip to go abroad, say they're representing us. My friends, Jamaica, big Jamaica, had 4 persons. St. Lucia and St. Vincent, 3. But Grenada has 18. We have a lot of money. But we can't pay for children to come back from after having studied. We cannot buy basic medication for the hospital, blood pressure tablets, which is so fundamental. No wonder people are dying. One day I met Lakwan and said, boy, you're the only man doing well in Grenada. Lakwan tell me, say, Doc, they didn't, you know, but they didn't pain. So you see the problem? I mean, we do it as a joke, but it's a serious problem. It is a serious problem. Diabetes, that's one of the problems. Sugar is a problem. You need the medication. If you don't take your medication and watch your lifestyle, young people will collapse, and a lot of you look at the death notices in Grenada. It's not 80-something-year-old people who've seen and 70-something, 40-something, 30-something, 20-something. Because it doesn't matter what age you are. If that blood pressure goes up to a certain point, one stroke, you're a dead person. And my friends, we are talking about education. That's why the NNP invested not only in infrastructure, as my brother said, telephone, electricity, roads. Well, don't forget roads now. They're doing a bit of maintenance on the roads now. They put in, when a piece of road, a big hole grew up in a road, they put in concrete in tar. You ever hear more stupidness? That man, you know. You can't put, I mean, anyhow, let me leave that, yeah? Because I have to respect my government, and I have to respect my prime minister. So, but it does not make sense. So your roads are deteriorating. But I'm saying we invested in education in the schools, my friends, because that's our future. Similarly, healthcare, my friends. They are talking about building a new hospital. My God, you can't buy medication to save people lives, or you want to build a hospital for $100 and something million US dollars. And they're going around asking people if they could help them to get the money to build this hospital. You have a new hospital that was built just a few years ago. If you have to upgrade it to have a teaching hospital, and a teaching hospital is a good thing. I give them credit for it because NNP started that discussion with the university. So I have no problem with the concept. It's a good concept. In fact, I just met the chancellor recently, only 2 days ago, and I supported it. But they do not have the money. Think about the basic things. They need an extra 14 million US dollars to manage that hospital. They're looking for money. You can't manage the present one with the limited staff, but you want to build a new one, and you don't know where you're getting the money. You can't buy medication in the hospital. I am saying this is what you call, even dummy James will not be thinking like this, my friends. My friends, our sister already talked about youth and sports. I want to mention briefly about the productive sectors. Clearly, my friends, agriculture must always be given a priority by any government. And I have to say, and I have to agree, that all our governments, including mine, did not do as much as we should have done for the development of agriculture in our country. And I have no problem admitting this. There are a lot of structural problems that we have to deal with. For example, there is no reason why you should have a board for nutmeg, a board for cocoa, and a board for bananas, when you hardly have any bananas in the country that you're exporting. There should be one unified board with minimum expenses for running the associations. We should therefore be looking at how we expand the production and development of cocoa. We have a team of experts right now working on a plan for the development of the cocoa, because that's an area of key potential for economic activity in the country. Similarly, the nutmegs that we planted after Ivan are now started to bear fruits, a bit of it, but there's still a long way to go. We should continue further replanting of our nutmeg and clean up the areas. Many of the estates are left in bushes, and therefore we're not getting the true potential of the nutmeg production as we should.